Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, streets got no God. God do not look after streets. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail, man. I knew he was going. I was waiting.
Boosie Badazz is staring down the kind of reality no rapper ever wants to face a potential 10-year federal sentence in his gun case. And just when you'd think the hip-hop community would rally behind him, guess who popped up right on cue to clown him? Charleston White. The man didn't waste a second. The moment the news hit the blogs, Charleston was on live, acting like it was Christmas morning. He was grinning ear to ear, sipping his drink, talking reckless and saying he always knew Boosie would end up back behind bars. For Charleston, this wasn't tragedy, it was comedy. He bragged that he'd been waiting for this day. Like watching Boosie fall was his personal Super Bowl. He even said straight up that he wouldn't care if Boosie never walked back out of those prison gates. And the crazy part? He meant every word. Meanwhile, Boosie himself has been singing a completely different tune. Earlier this month, he told fans he had finally accepted a plea deal. He said he was tired of fighting a system that seemed determined to bury him. That's the wild part, because this wasn't even Boosie's first rodeo with this case.
A lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, so I just want to get it over with and, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years.
3 years.
The charges had already been dismissed once back in 2023 after a Supreme Court ruling went in his favor. The judge dropped the case, and for a second it looked like Boosie was finally about to catch a break, to get back to focusing on his family and music. But the feds weren't done with him. They came back harder in 2024 with a re-indictment for the same thing, being a felon in possession of a firearm. And let's be real, that charge alone is brutal. For anyone else, it's already near impossible to beat. For Boosie, with his history, it's practically a death sentence for his career. He was tired, worn out, and instead of gambling on a trial, he folded. He admitted it himself. Boosie said, "I wasn't going to go to trial with it from the jump. I feel like this the right move for me. I trust in God, but I'm tired of fighting." When he wrote that online, you could feel the exhaustion. This wasn't the old Boosie who loved trolling and clapping back at everyone who came for him. This was a man broken by the weight of the system, typing out words that sounded like resignation mixed with prayer. Fans could tell he wasn't just putting up a front this time. He sounded drained. And that's exactly when Charleston White decided to stomp on his neck. The man went live smiling like he just hit the lottery and started clowning Boosie with zero remorse. Charleston White said, "Going to jail. Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, streets ain't got no God. God don't look out for the street." Boosie really thought he wasn't going to go to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail? All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby until that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail. The way Charleston said it, with that mix of sarcasm and celebration, hit different. Boosie hadn't even had a chance to process that he might lose 10 years of his life. And Charleston was already out here treating it like a live comedy show. He even went further, saying he hoped Boosie died in prison. Now that's wild, even by Charleston standards. But if you've been following him, you know this isn't new. This man has built an entire career off being the loudest troll in hip-hop culture. And his obsession with Boosie? It's personal.
Oh, where the feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge. The case got dropped.
See, Charleston White doesn't just clown Boosie randomly. He makes it a mission. Every time Boosie has a legal problem, Charleston appears like clockwork. It's like he's got a radar that pings the second Boosie's name hits the blogs. That's why people are asking, why does Charleston White hate Boosie this much? And the answer goes way deeper than internet trolling. Their beef goes back years, all the way to late 2022. That was the moment Kanye West had the world in chaos with his White Lives Matter shirt. Everybody was heated, and celebrities were weighing in left and right. Boosie, always one to speak up for the culture, called Kanye disrespectful to black people. Honestly, most people agreed with Boosie. It was one of those rare times he was seen as the voice of reason. But Charleston White? Nope. He jumped online blasting Boosie for even daring to speak on Kanye, and Charleston didn't stop there. Instead of keeping it between him and Boosie, he dragged Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, into it. He even went after T.I.'s son, King Harris, saying those boys were doomed to fail just like their fathers, mocking their names and reputations. From that moment, the line between trolling and full-blown personal vendetta got blurred. Boosie never forgave it, and Charleston never stopped. That's why his celebration now cuts so deep. This isn't just Charleston laughing at another rapper's downfall. This is years of built-up animosity spilling out. He's been waiting for this exact moment, and now that it's here, he's relishing it. But let's zoom out for a second and look at Boosie's side. For years, this man has been dodging bullets, both literal and legal. Baton Rouge tried to eat him alive. He's survived cases, beat charges that would have buried other men, and lived through beefs, health scares, and more. He always found a way to land back on his feet. That's why this hit's different. 10 years isn't a slap on the wrist. It's not something you bounce back from easily. The weight of that sentence shows in every word Boosie types, in every interview where his voice cracks just a little more. And yet, while Boosie is leaning on faith, Charleston is leaning into cruelty, turning pain into entertainment and mocking another man's downfall for views.
Entertainment.
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. I trust in God.
Fans are split. Some are disgusted, calling Charleston White heartless for clowning a man who might lose a decade of his life. Others, though, are eating it up, saying Charleston's just being real, exposing the hypocrisy of street rappers who act untouchable until the law finally catches up to them. One fan wrote online, "Charleston White petty as hell, but he ain't lying. Boosie been tempting fate for years. This was bound to happen." Another said, "I don't care how much you dislike a man. Wishing death on him in jail is too far." Charleston doing too much. And that's the thing. Charleston White thrives on that tension. He knows half the crowd is going to hate him, and the other half is going to cheer. Either way, his name stays in the blogs right next to Boosie's. At the end of the day, what makes this whole thing so heavy is the timing. Boosie just welcomed a newborn baby. He's out here talking about fatherhood, posting about family, and dropping emotional captions about trusting God. Meanwhile, Charleston White is literally celebrating that he won't get to raise his child. The contrast is insane. Think about it. A man looking at 10 years in prison, trying to hold on to faith, convincing himself this is God's plan. And another man grinning ear to ear, saying good riddance and hoping he dies behind bars. That's where this beef is now. It's not rap. It's not jokes. It's not clout chasing. It's ugly. It's personal. And it's cruel. For Boosie's fans, the next few months are crucial. The sentencing could lock in that decade-long stretch. If it does, we might not see Boosie free until the 2030s.
Yes.
Going to jail! Oh, God! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look out for street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail, but I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
That's a lifetime in hip-hop years. And for Charleston White, it's just more material, more fuel to feed his persona as the ultimate troll of the culture. So here we are, Boosie Badazz. A man who spent his whole life fighting to stay free, might finally be caged for a long stretch. And Charleston White, the man who's made hating him a hobby, is celebrating like it's the best news he's ever heard. Love it or hate it, this is one of those moments that will go down in hip-hop history, the day Boosie's fate was sealed and Charleston White popped champagne. Because in the end, this isn't just a court case, it's legacy. And whether Boosie spends the next decade behind bars or not, the way Charleston White turned his downfall into a live comedy show will be remembered as one of the coldest, pettiest, and most disrespectful moves we've ever seen. Months after Charleston White first lit up the internet clowning Boosie Badazz, the disrespect didn't stop, it just grew louder, nastier, and more personal. What made it worse was how Charleston seemed to know exactly which buttons to press. He didn't just target Boosie, he dragged his family, career, and even his health into the spotlight. The tension built so high that when Boosie finally broke his silence on Vlad TV, you could hear the frustration in his voice. He wasn't scared of Charleston. That's never been his style. But he was cautious because, in his own words, Charleston wasn't just another loudmouth troll. He was someone who could get a man locked up just for breathing wrong in his direction. Boosie said, "Can't respond to that, because once I see a man go up there and say he's going to put your ass in prison, even if you threaten him or say something about him, and he's got facts showing he's put people in prison, I can't take a chance of getting involved with that. Well, listen, I don't want anything to happen. He gonna call somebody. I've seen him on some bull, he gonna call somebody. Think about that." This is Boosie, a man who's beaten cases that could have ended his life, survived Baton Rouge when bullets were flying like raindrops, and outlived beefs that would have swallowed other rappers whole. For Boosie to admit he has to tread lightly around Charleston, White shows how deep this mess runs. Boosie wasn't scared of Charleston physically. He was wary of the system Charleston brags about using, because Charleston White has no shame in saying he calls the cops.
Pour it on your mother.
A street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I got to pay for a lawyer. I got 2 lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had 2 paid for a lawyer. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebellion. Ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
The hammer back on the gun.
He files reports, sets people up, and then laughs about it online. That's not street code. That's paperwork warfare. Even though Boosie played it cool in the interview, you could tell Charleston was living rent-free in his head. And it didn't take long before things escalated again. Early 2024, the beef spilled into a whole new arena, internet culture. Adin Ross, one of the biggest streamers online, was supposed to host Boosie on his stream. Fans were hyped, but then Boosie passed, not wanting to deal with Charleston's shadow hovering over everything. Next thing you know, Aiden flipped the story completely. He jumped online and claimed he turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. That lie exploded across social media. Suddenly, it wasn't just hip-hop blogs. Streamers, gamers, and random kids on Twitch were talking about Boosie and Charleston like it was a boxing match. The situation got so messy that DJ Vlad himself had to step in. Vlad dragged Aiden for trying to play loyal soldier to Charleston White, pointing out that Charleston had literally praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. Vlad basically told Auden, "This is the man you're riding for?" That dragged the entire mess into a bigger conversation about how Charleston's name was becoming clout currency. People weren't just trolling for fun anymore. They were attaching themselves to Charleston because they knew his chaos guaranteed clicks. Even if it meant siding with someone publicly clowning a man facing a decade in prison, and Charleston White, he loved it. The man thrives on attention, and the more people fed into his narrative, the harder he went. By March, he was back online claiming Boosie had allegedly warned promoters not to book him. No proof, no receipts, just vibes. But Charleston doesn't need proof. He says it loud enough, says it often enough, and suddenly, people believe it. He turned it into another rant, swearing he'd already reached out to the feds and was ready to get Boosie jammed up over what he framed as threats. He even went so far as to drag Boosie's family and health, mocking him in ways that were cruel even for him. Charleston White said, "I'm gonna put your ass in jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right kind of number, cause I'm going to make a report on your mother."
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. I trust in God.
The promoter specifically said your name, Boosie. He implicated you. You're going back to jail. You're going to be on your knees. Knees gonna be bleeding again. It didn't matter that there wasn't a shred of evidence. The performance was the point, and it stuck. Suddenly, Boosie was being asked about these claims. Even worse, Boosie himself admitted that dudes already locked up were calling him, asking when he was going to join them. Imagine that. You're already facing the weight of a federal case, staring down the possibility of a 10-year sentence, and you're getting clown calls from prison before you've even set foot inside. That's insult on top of injury, and Charleston White knew exactly what he was doing. Boosie said, "Man, I feel, I trust in God, man." This crazy, and here's where it gets even deeper. Boosie didn't even want a trial. He didn't want the circus. He went straight for the plea deal. And honestly, can you blame him? Imagine if Charleston White had somehow managed to show up in court. You already know he would have turned that courtroom into a stage, testifying, pointing fingers, cracking jokes for the jury, and then running straight to Instagram Live the second he stepped outside. It sounds wild, but it's not impossible. This is a man who brags about calling cops, filing reports, and snitching like it's a badge of honor. And here's the kicker. Charleston's history with snitching isn't new. When he was just 14 years old, he was involved in a robbery with other teens. During that robbery, one of them, Antoine Doolittle, shot and killed a man named Michael Levy. When the case went to court, Charleston White testified against him. That's the ultimate violation in street culture. Even though he was a kid, even though he says he was just telling the truth, people never let him live it down. Charleston White said, "I'm not a street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth."
Boosie going to jail! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, streets got no God. God do not look after streets. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail, but that film. I knew he was going. I will wait.
When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that. I had 2 paid-for lawyers." My mama's a well-to-do mama. I'm an adolescent going through a rebellious stage. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy. Recently, footage from that old juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit up again. People dragged Charleston, calling him a hypocrite. How can you clown rappers as rats one minute, then proudly admit you testified against your own crew the next? The clip went viral, showing Charleston calmly recounting how the robbery went down.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, this Kanye West shit just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing it behind,
He described how a shot was fired and how he told the truth in court. He was asked in the clip. He pulled it off and there was a hammer back on the door. And then what happened? Charleston responded, "He fired. The internet went crazy." But Charleston White doubled down. He said he never lived by the street code, never wanted to, and doesn't care who's mad. In his mind, snitching isn't a dirty word, it's survival. And yet, the irony is impossible to ignore. This is the same man who calls other rappers rats, mocks them for paperwork, while openly bragging about his own. Stack it all up, and you start to see why Boosie skipped trial and went for the plea. The last thing he wanted was to risk a courtroom where Charleston White could insert himself, even indirectly. Boosie knew Charleston would have turned his pain into a punchline, his case into a comedy sketch. And that's the nightmare scenario for any man trying to hold on to his freedom. That's why Charleston's celebrating so hard right now. To him, Boosie's downfall is confirmation. It's karma. It's validation that everything he's been screaming, all the trolling, all the mocking, all the claims that Boosie is a fake street legend bound for a cage.
I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really got no opinion on him, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you gotta lie. So, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off.
It's finally real. He's been waiting for this moment, maybe even praying for it. Right now, Boosie isn't behind bars yet, but with the plea deal in play, he's closer than ever to a 10-year stretch. The streets are split. Some are laughing with Charleston, saying Boosie brought this on himself. Others are riding with Boosie, saying Charleston's obsession is creepy, evil, and disrespectful. But no matter which side you're on, one thing is clear if Charleston's this loud while Boosie's still technically free. Just imagine the circus he'll create if Boosie actually gets sentenced. The man will probably be online with balloons, cake and champagne live streaming his celebration while Boosie packs up for prison. And that's the cruel irony. Boosie is trying to hold on to God, to faith, to family, posting about his newborn, talking about love and legacy. Meanwhile, Charleston White is holding on to hate. He's making content out of another man's collapse. To him, Boosie's pain isn't tragedy, it's entertainment, and in a twisted way.
White for Boosie, you done got too much. You done let these niggas play you too this internet book dumb and say what little Tootie go do now? What little say? Listen, Vlad TV. Vlad post everybody going to jail, but somebody tag Vlad TV.
That's why people keep watching, because this ain't just a case anymore, it's a saga. A battle between a man trying to cling to dignity in the face of a decade-long sentence, and another man dancing on his downfall like it's his biggest victory. And in the end, the only question left is this: will Charleston White finally get the finale he's been waiting for? Boosie behind bars, locked away, silenced. Or will Boosie somehow flip the script one last time and walk free? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. If Charleston White has anything to say about it, the circus is only just beginning.